Hi, welcome back to the channel. If you've been wondering what a day in the life of a data scientist or analyst is like, then this video is for you. In this video, I cover the 4 main tasks that you're going to spend part of each day working on. Hopefully this gives you a realistic view of what the job is like.
I'm Dr. Christy. I'm a researcher and a data science director, and I help analysts and data scientists take their career to the next level.
Let's get into it. So typically you're juggling between 1 and 3, maybe 4 projects at a time. I would consider that a healthy workload. Obviously you can do more, but you're going to get burned out much more quickly. And what that means is each project is in a different phase. And so that's why you're able to juggle it and manage it. So it might be one project might be the scoping phase, one project might be in the data acquisition phase, another might be in the deliverable phase or the presentation phase. And the effort involved in each project is going to go up and down based on what phase you're in. So hopefully you're able to juggle a healthy balance, because some projects are in a high effort phase and other projects are in a low effort phase, and you can keep all of them moving forward. So what are the 4 main tasks that you spend each day working on? So the first is project management. For each project that you're working on, you have to actively manage them. So mostly that means managing your stakeholders. That means keeping them engaged and keeping them informed and also keeping them happy. So that includes things like sending emails, prepping status updates about where you are in the project, what are the issues you've run into, but also setting up meetings to share these updates with them on a recurring basis. So it might be weekly, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever the schedule needs to be. But it's not just this robotic, easy to do update where you can just send it out and it's fine. Part of it is anticipating what issues might come up, figuring out workarounds, and sending those updates in a way where you set their expectations and it doesn't lead to unnecessary conflict or tension while you're shepherding this project through to the end state. So not only is this something that you spend a good portion of your day working on, it's also a key skill to develop as a data scientist or an analyst. This is the skill that's really going to set you apart as a high achiever, a high performer, someone that's really successful at getting their projects done and getting them done well. So the second thing you're going to spend part of each day working on is presentations. So this might include project status updates where you haven't completed the project, but you do need to prepare an update or some sort of overview of what's been going on. And this might be a broader team than the daily project team that you meet with more frequently. So this might include C-suite level executives, people that are at a higher level of senior leadership. So you'll want to prepare and present these updates on your project. But it might also be one of your final project presentations where it's already been done, it's successful, and you're coming back to share how things went. Either way, you spend a lot of time preparing these presentations, working with your peers on this project, the cross-functional team that put the project together, your manager. It may go through several levels of review and update, because these presentations really matter in terms of the productivity of your team and just budgeting and all these broader concerns that you're probably not worried about, but your manager and your team leader are definitely thinking about. This is another skill that is absolutely critical, even though it seems soft and it's like, hey, I'm not interested in that. I want to just be doing my code and doing my modeling and analysis. That's just not the reality. The reality is you absolutely have to learn these core skills on how to present your work in a way that these senior leaders can understand not only what you did, but how you did it and the successful results that you drove with your project. So let me know in the comments if you want a separate video on tips and tricks around presentation, but it's very important to be simple and clear and understandable, as well as brief and getting to the point. So I'm happy to make a video on that. If y'all are interested, let me know in the comments. Hi, if you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. It's really helpful as I'm a brand new channel getting started and it makes a huge impact. Let's get back to the video. The third thing you're going to be spending a part of every single day doing is meeting. And I know that seems boring, and truthfully it is kind of boring. So you have to meet with your manager usually once a week. Hopefully that's not a boring meeting, and that's one-on-one to be able to share your updates on the projects you're working, what are the difficulties or troubles that you're running into, and you can get their help, their advice. They might be able to step in and remove blockers from your path, which is really important for your success. There's also team meetings, so that may be weekly or bi-weekly, where your manager and everybody that reports to them gets together in a meeting where you share updates and learnings, or there might be knowledge share sessions. And then beyond that, there may be organizational meetings. So that might be every 2 weeks or every month or every quarter, an all hands or something where they get everybody together and share updates. It might be a training session that comes up either for the whole department or, sometimes the business unit, but it does take a lot of time. And this is all in addition to what we talked about earlier, which are like project meetings. So these recurring weekly or bi-weekly meetings where you're sharing updates on each project. So if you're working on 4 projects, that might be 4 meetings every week. And then in addition to that, you may have your data scientist and analytics meeting to prepare for that weekly stakeholder meeting or a client meeting. It can quickly multiply, and it really does eat up so much of your time. So it's important to figure out how to be efficient and figure out what meetings you need to be in versus you can just follow up later, read the notes, especially if you need to block off chunks of time to work and get your things done. You don't necessarily want to be stuck in meetings all day. It's also important to figure out, especially if you're coordinating it or if you have any say in how it's run, to make sure there's an agenda. It moves pretty quickly. It's 30 minutes or less, and it's a very focused, good use of time. Even if you're not directly running it, you may be in a position to give some input or feedback to whoever is running it, and you can sometimes push for them. For example, if there's like this really waste of time weekly meeting that's happening, you can sometimes share the feedback like, hey, maybe we could shift this to bi-weekly or monthly, and maybe that'll work better. So the last thing that you're going to spend part of each day doing, hopefully, is working with data. And I purposely put this last because the reality is sometimes people go into the field thinking that they're going to spend all day coding, doing analysis, and that's just not true. You spend most of your time doing all these other things in order to clear the way for your project to be successful. And if you're lucky, you eventually get to a point where you can work on the data and you can pull the data, process the data, do your modeling, do your analysis, use the output to create a deliverable. Like, all those things do happen, but you just have to invest so much time in all the phases around the data that by the time you get down to it, it's just not a huge part of your day or your week or your month. It's just not, even of your year. Like, most of your time really is spent on all these other things, and just a small fraction of it is spent doing the actual hands-on work. And that's part of why it's so important to have a strong scoping process where you identify which projects are likely to be successful, and you vet out the bad projects that are just going to eat your time, eat your resources, and you're not even going to have anything successful at the end of it. By the time you sit down and work with the data and you're investing in this project, it's actually one that's likely to be very successful. So that's it for today. If you liked this video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.